Tonight, deal or divorce, a global economy on edge, with Donald Trump's trade deadline 2 hours away. And he floats doubling his universal tariffs. Plus, America's support for Israel's war in Gaza hits a new low, as liberals propose a provocative new litmus test.
I don't want my taxes funding this. I don't want the people who represent us voting for that funding.
Also, the socialist hoping to become Gotham's mayor faces flack from both the right and the left.
It is beyond me that politicians are looking to use these days to score such cynical political points.
After New York's worst shooting in a quarter century. And
we are proud to announce that the construction of the new White House ballroom.
Donald Trump's gold rush at the People's House is expanding with a $200 million price tag. Live at the table, Scott Jennings, Jamal Simmons, Lee McGowan, and Congressman Mike Lawler. Americans with different perspectives aren't talking to each other, but here they do. Good evening, I'm Phillip in New York. Let's get right to what America's talking about. The chaos continues. Donald Trump's permanent tariffs were supposed to take effect in 2 hours, but instead the president announced new tariffs on dozens of nations taking effect in a week. He also upended the entire strategy. There will now be a 10% tariff on countries that have trade surpluses with the U.S. For countries that have a trade deficit, 15%. More than a dozen countries have higher rates because of trade deals that they already negotiated or because Donald Trump just said so. So, as for the two of America's biggest trading partners, he is giving Mexico 90 more days to make a deal. Canada, not so lucky, as Trump is raising their tariff rate to 35%. A Canadian official says Canada shouldn't settle for anything less than the right deal. Now is not the time to roll over. We need to stand our ground. Joining us in our fifth seat at the table is Natasha Sarin, president of the Budget Lab at Yale. Natasha, has there been any deadline that has been set on trade by this administration that has actually been kept?
So we do continue to see the can being kicked down the road. And for those keeping track at home, the effective tariff rates have changed more than 100 times on more than 40 days in this administration.
100 times?
Where we are now.
How's that even possible?
Where we are now, after a slew of changes today, is that you are going to see effective tariff rates of over 18% at current levels. That's relative to 2.5% when President Trump took office. My colleagues and I at the Budget Lab at Yale have estimated what the impact of that is going to be on the economy. And what we've concluded is that you're going to see price increases for the average American family of around $2,400 annually. And a smaller economy, because less growth and less investment in this country means fewer jobs by around 0.5 percentage points of GDP, which is about $150 billion. That boils down to like $1,000 out of every American family's pocket because the economy is going to be smaller than it would have been in the absence of this trade war.
Maybe that explains why Josh Hawley wants to hand out $600 rebate checks for the tariffs that people are going to be paying now.
Yeah, I don't know about that idea because part of the issue of bringing in the tariff money is to help alleviate some of our national debt, I think, and to pay for other priorities. I mean, I hear your talking points, but look, GDP came in at 3%.
Those are also
that
data?
You all can laugh, but
there's a
GDP
difference
is
between
3%.
talking
The
points and
market's at,
facts,
the market's at record highs. People are investing in America. I don't.
Okay,
this doom and gloom
Scott,
apocalypse was
let me
for
clear
April.
this
It's now July.
Let me clear this up for you, Scott. What you just said were talking points. What she just said were facts.
GDP is 3%. The market is up. Companies are deals are being cut.
GDP is 3%. GDP this year so far, for the first 2 quarters of this year, is an average of 1.2%. For all of 2024, it was 2.8%. So really, we're actually growing on average at a. And I don't even want to overstate this, but if you're using GDP as a metric,
it just came out.
I'm just pointing out that if you look at it over the course of the time that Donald Trump has been in office, the number is not a terribly impressive number. But let me let Natasha respond because
to Abby's point about the 3% that you're quoting, Scott, I think it's actually really quite important to put it in context. So here are some more numbers. It's true that growth at this point last year was more like 2.4%. It's also true that in November, when we predicted what growth was going to look like based on the economic trajectory, we were anticipating growth in the first half of this year of around 2.2%. What we've actually seen is growth at around 1.2%, and that is
what was it in the last quarter? It was 3% after his policies fully
I
took
think
office.
It would be useful.
I mean, Scott,
do
you understand that there's a first quarter and a second quarter, and when you take first and second and you average them together,
understand he took
you
over
get a
in the first
number
quarter,
that is
and the first full quarter of his
1.2%.
administration was the second
these
quarter?
are just
Abby,
numbers.
expectations.
It's just math we're talking
Why
about.
are you
Scott.
down-talking the United
Why
States?
are you fighting about math? It's just math. Okay?
Why are you fighting the policies that are working?
Because
Go ahead,
most Americans don't speak math. Most Americans aren't Yale economists. Most Americans don't speak acronyms, GDP, 5%, 2.8%, 4%. We don't talk like that. You just said it's going to cost us probably around $2,500 more per family per year, or per person per year?
Per family per year.
Per family per year. So the costs are going up because of these tariffs. And I think what most people don't understand is tariffs are paid. We've been confused by it a lot. Tariffs end up being put onto the consumer. The company that imports the thing, brings it in, they pay the tariff. The tariff is then passed on to the consumer. We pay more. So all these numbers that we're throwing around, the regular American doesn't understand 2.8 to 1.6.
Oh.
They do understand if groceries go up, if housing goes up, if the cost of their goods go up. They understand it like that. And what we're saying is the choices this administration has made will make our costs go up.
Congressman, just on a very basic level, just the breaking news tonight, which is that just shy of this deadline that Donald Trump himself set, he has now changed the rules of the game yet again. And just from a business perspective, how on earth is any business in this hemisphere or anywhere around the world supposed to understand how they should proceed, where they should do business, where they should manufacture their goods, who they can sell to? How are they supposed to understand that when it keeps changing?
Well, as I said when the president announced these tariffs way back in April, that as a short-term negotiating tool, this could be very effective. And what we have already seen with Japan, with China, with Vietnam, with Thailand, with the EU, is massive trade deals, trillions of dollars of investment into the United States that, by the way, would not have happened but for using the leverage of tariffs to force these countries to negotiate better trade deals.
I think that is very debatable. I just want to point out
Where do you think these trade deals came from?
Well, no, many people question whether the investment will happen and whether the investment is actually real or whether they're counting investments that were already going to happen. It's funny. Some of it could be funny math. So let's just leave it at.
So that's funny math when these countries are announcing that they are coming to terms to invest in the United States. When they're talking about reducing trade barriers and barriers to entry into their countries.
They have a real reason. They have a real reason to want to do that.
Of course, because they want a lower tariff rate.
Trust but verify. Promises of investments need to be verified. You know why? Because in the first Trump administration, there were similar promises, and a lot of them did not come to fruition. So that's why I think there's a healthy degree of skepticism.
Let's see what happened with, for instance, the tariffs that were put on China. What did the Biden administration do? They not only kept them, they tried to increase them. If you look at the fact that countries have agreed to investment into the U.S., businesses have repatriated dollars into the U.S. You are seeing economic growth, as Scott pointed out rightly. Q2 was the first full quarter of President Trump's administration. You just got the tax bill done at the end of Q2. The tax bill is going to provide real tax relief to thousands of dollars to the average American family. In my district, for instance, with the increased cap on salt, 90% of my district will be able to fully deduct their state and local taxes. That is a massive tax cut, a $6,000 tax deduction for seniors. That is massive.
But this is based on the numbers that have changed 100 times in 40 days, right?
Look,
you are basing these numbers on something that constantly changes based on the whim of one person.
You're worried about the strategy. At the end of the day, the question is, what is the end result? And what you're seeing is countries are cutting deals with the United States of America. Businesses are reinvesting in the United States of America. Job growth is up. GDP is up. Consumer price index is down.
Yeah,
so we are headed in the right direction.
Let me make a couple of quick points and just in response to that. Business investment is down. Consumer spending is up, but just a tick, not a huge amount. This other thing is, what is the end goal in your view of the tariff policy? Because I understand the investments, but when you look at the numbers that we're looking at today, Donald Trump says tariffs are good, so you would expect him to want tariffs to be sky high because they're good in his mind. But what he's done is he's brought tariffs down, whether or not you've negotiated with him or not. So what's the point of a negotiation with Trump when he's just going to pick a random number?
Look, what he is doing is forcing these countries that have forever had barriers to entry to U.S. goods, that have had tariffs on U.S. products. Okay. He is forcing them to renegotiate.
Yeah,
and
but
when you have,
let me give you a concrete example.
When you have the EU that has put price controls on U.S. prescription
the EU
drugs,
is a great. I'm glad you brought it up, Congressman,
Yeah.
because the EU is a great example. He brokered a deal with the EU. The Americans are paying higher tariffs. 15% or so now on most goods. They did not renegotiate pharmaceutical prices, agricultural barriers, digital services taxes. They didn't touch any of those things in the EU deal. Why not?
Again, the tariffs are on if you're importing goods from the EU. What we have been able to secure is not only investment from the EU, but a reduction in barriers to entry for U.S. products into the EU.
They didn't touch any of those things, and that is also a fact, Jamal.
Let's talk about U.S. products for a second. I've been spending a lot of time in my home state of Michigan, right? So right now, people in Michigan are worried because the president has blown up the USMCA. Right, so auto companies are about at the end of their inventory about the cars they already have stocked. Now they're going to have to go make new cars. They got to buy new parts. Those parts are moving back and forth across the border between Canada and Mexico and the United States. At the same time, what's going to happen as imported cars go up? They're worried that the used car price is also going to go up because people can't afford new cars anymore, which means they're going to all be in the used car market. So people who are lower income are going to have to pay higher money, higher prices in order to buy a used car. These are having real-life impacts. Governor Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan just did a whole release talking about the impact on people trying to go back to school and what this is going to do to school supplies. This is all going to have real impacts on families, and I think the president is arbitrary in the way he's doing this. Companies can't predict. Families can't predict. It's going to have real impacts on American companies and workers.
So we want to know, as a nation, the Fed certainly wants to know, what's the trajectory of prices in the United States? And up until now, it's been TBD because Trump's tariff threats have not really actually been carried out. Based on what he announced today, let's say the 7-day window holds. What are you seeing, Natasha?
So a couple of pieces that are quite important. One is that we are already seeing higher tariff rates. The effective tariff rate in June and July was closer to 10%. They're going to go way up now. But we are also seeing, as Scott was pointing out, tariff revenue as a result of those higher tariff rates. But what we are also seeing, and what we learned today, is that inflation is ticking up exactly in the sectors that are exposed to these tariffs. So durable goods inflation in this country, that's stuff like your furniture, or it's stuff like your child's stroller or their car seat. Prices have ticked up 1.7%. I know those numbers are,
good.
But to give you some context, that is the highest price increase in a 6-month period that we've seen in any 6 months since in the last 4 decades, absent the pandemic. So prices are already going up. And the result of these effective tariff rates that are now going to be more than twice what we've had in the last few months is that prices are going to go up even more. It's true, Scott, that we're going to be collecting revenue. And to your point, we have real fiscal needs and we need to collect revenue. My problem isn't that we are going to have more tax revenue in this country. My problem is that tariffs are a terrible way to raise tax revenue because they're borne disproportionately by low and middle income people who consume the most of what they own.
And weren't we at this rate the last time around 1934? And remember what happened in the 1930s?
We do. We have a trajectory and a history of experience.
For those of you who
and
are
Ronald
not
Reagan, Scott, I know because we've talked about him in the past, he famously said, we shouldn't actually call this stuff protectionism. We should call it destructionism, because what it does is it costs the American economy jobs and it costs us the opportunity to grow.
All right, Natasha Sarin, on that note, thank you very much for joining us. Next, America's support for Israel's war in Gaza hitting a record low tonight as some liberals are demanding litmus tests for candidates. Another special guest is going to be with us at the table. Plus, the Smithsonian has suddenly removed Trump from an impeachment exhibit at the American History Museum. We'll discuss. That's next.